FG meditation is an innovative and effective method which is free from the ideological attachments of other meditative methods. This method was abbreviated as FG meditation for Farshad's Geometric Meditation and created by Farshad Nazaraghaei. In this technique, attention is focused on the horizontal movements of abdominal muscles, outward with inhalation and inward with exhalation. Respiration at first occurs actively with more range of oscillation inward and outward. Abdominal muscles move on the direction of the horizontal line, superposing the navel, which is upright, to the longitudinal symmetry line of the body. Then, active breathing is surrendered and it will continue automatically. The longer respiration continues spontaneously, the more relaxed, lighter, thinner, and shorter it becomes. Therefore, oscillation range of the abdominal muscles becomes so small that the horizontal line disappears, retreats, and finally turns to short impulses inward and outward. At the end, breathing becomes calm and we feel no abdominal muscle movements. In this phase, the horizontal line will convert to a single point as a compressed ball. This state is known as pointed attention or linear breathing. Now, move the pointed attention up on the directional longitudinal symmetry line of the body and place it in the center of gravity in your head as if you're staying in your skull. Now, be aware of each feeling inside your head region, such as span, deliverance, expansion, and emptiness. Be aware of the difference between the heaviness of your head rather than the other parts of your body and your limbs. Be aware of your attention expanding throughout your body and experience the specific quality of body awareness. Sometimes you feel as if the borderlines of the head, the body, and other parts of the body separating you from the world around are being assimilated and vanishing, so the only quality left is awareness with no borderlines. As you see in the first technique, the respiratory oscillations graph is indicated on X and Y axis. X-axis indicates time or T and Y indicates amplitude of oscillation in abdominal muscles or range of oscillation in attention. The amplitude of oscillation gets to 0 at the end of axis. If we join both ends, we will make a triangle demonstrating the extent of attentional shift in the period of time from the triangle's base to its apex. So, the more we move from the base towards the apex, the more concentration we will achieve. As the technique continues, and after observing the body, short and thin inhaling and exhaling impulses begin, accompanied by abdominal muscles short movements with less range of motion, so we will approach the second single pointed attention while breathing becomes slower once again. One of the unique features of FG meditation techniques is to present the meditative process in the form of mathematical graphs and functions for the first time ever. According to the diagram for each FG meditation technique, specific mathematical functions are provided with the variables of R and T, and they are indicating the oscillations of the present curve. The first and simpler equations are generally provided without considering the duration and the distance between inhalation and exhalation. However, all other functions are provided more slightly complicated and considering more components such as the number of breathings and the duration between inhalation and exhalation. In this technique, attention is focused on the ribs up and down movement. Follow these slight vibrations in the body caused by this movement of the ribs. Attention fluctuates upward while inhaling and downward while exhaling on the direction of longitudinal symmetry line of the body. As you can see, this movement is against the inflow and outflow of air. First, breathing is active and then it is surrendered and resumed spontaneously. The slower breathing becomes, the shorter the domain of attention movement on the direction of vertical line in each ends will get. Finally, this line will turn into a single point as a compressed ball in the thoracic sternum. Now, we are at the single pointed attention or the linear breathing stage. Now, like the previous technique, shift your attention into the head and the skull on the direction of longitudinal symmetry line of the body and experience body awareness along with the expansion of attention throughout the body and being integrated with the surrounding atmosphere. Nuruddin Al-Rahman Jami emphasizes breathing in his book Haft-o-Rang as the following. It is said the wise man of faith founds his affairs on his breath. He never looks back or ahead, counts nothing but each precious breath. Each FG meditation technique occurs under the effect of the particular subtle vibrations and movements caused by breathing muscles movement, the inflow and outflow of air in the form of abdominal, the thoracic breathing or simultaneously. In all techniques, breathing occurs as an active, slow and deep inhalation and exhalation cycle, but then breathing continues passively with no effort. If we let breathing do its job spontaneously, it will get shorter and thinner. Finally, it becomes very faint and slow, then stops for short periods. In these techniques, short and slight halts of breathing's impulses intermittently occur. In each period of temporary breathing disappearance, the experience of the pointed attention or the compressed attention begins. Then, move your attention on the direction of longitudinal symmetry line of the body and towards the head and skull. Finally, develop it to the whole body. When the contraction of attention in the pointed concentration and in continuation of the expansion of attention throughout the body happens, it causes some modulations in the intentional scope, which leads to some plosive somatic feelings as well as experience of the altered states of consciousness. This technique traces the direction of airflow on the base of one nasal tract and septum. Attention moves on the base of the nasal canal towards the end while inhaling, and it moves through the nasal septum towards the nasal tip while exhaling. Breathing first occurs actively and long, but then it carries on spontaneously. Along the direction of attentional movement, an angle is made which starts receding in both ends while breathing becomes slower. Then it will turn into a point superposing the end of the nasal canal or the space between eyebrows. Be aware of how your attention deposits and settles on the specific zone. Attend to the quality of feeling you are staying with this area, and also attend on the feeling of slight vibrations to heaviness, pressure, tingling, and so on. Now shift this attention, which is as a compressed ball, to the center of gravity in your head and expand it on the direction of the longitudinal symmetry line throughout the body, with paying attention to the feeling of expansion inside the skull. The existing triangle on the graph indicates the extent in which attention has shifted from the base towards the apex.